In this episode, we're going to discuss what they don't tell you about getting promoted. By the end of this video, I'm going to highlight 3 key areas that you might miss before you get promoted. Those 3 areas are the Peter Principle, the subject matter expert's mistake, and the poisoned chalice. Let's start with the Peter Principle. What is the Peter Principle? Well, it comes from this book here. It's also a term that is known quite well within the corporate environment. Basically, at a certain point in your career, you'll reach the level that you can no longer pass. In the book, it describes it as your level of incompetence. That's kind of harsh, I know, but at some level, all of us, doesn't matter who we are, we will get to a job that we can no longer move past. Some of you might be in that job right now. Some of you might be about to go into that job. We don't know when it's going to happen, but at some point in our career, we will reach a ceiling. And this book refers to that as the job that we can no longer excel at. So you've been excelling your whole career, and then you get to a job and you just become mediocre at it. Maybe that's because you are getting close to retirement and you're giving up, or maybe it's because you stretch too far and too quickly and you're now in a job where you just don't have the skill set to actually grow and all you're doing is surviving. That's not a great place to be in. So that's the Peter Principle. And I think it's the first rule you've got to be very careful of. If you're enjoying your job, and if you're in a role where you're on top of your life, you're on top of your job, you've got decent finances, you've got a decent work-life balance, and things are good, do you really need to get to that next level? Do you need to climb into that next role for an extra 5, 10, 15, 20% wage? Or are you okay where you are? This is a key concept to understand, because you might take that next leap and you might excel at it, and that's great, you can keep going. But you might know from the people who have been in the role before that that next leap is going to be a big cultural shift for you. So be careful. Think about the Peter Principle before you accept a promotion. The second area I'm going to talk about is the subject matter expert's mistake. Now, this leans quite nicely into the Peter Principle. It's basically what happens to those people that move on from being a subject matter expert to maybe being a manager of people or taking on a more complex role and not really doing what they typically do on a day-to-day basis. Let me spell it out for you a bit clearer. You might be a coder, you might be an accountant, you might be an artist of some type, graphic artist, and you are the best in your group, in your organization. Your organization comes along and goes, hey, Bob, we want you now to manage this project, this team, these people, and we don't want you to do what you are good at anymore. We want you to do something else. They want you to do a different expert's job. And that's people management, or it could be people management. How long did it take you to become an expert coder or an expert in the job that you're currently doing now? I'll let you answer that quickly by yourself. And then I'm going to say back to you now, it's going to take you that long again to become expert at being a people manager. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't become a people manager. It's something I've done in my career for a good decade, and it's taken me a good decade to get at a level where I actually feel like I'm decent at being a people manager. But I was awful at it when I first started being a people manager. That's just the way it is. The subject matter expert's mistake is pretty simple. It's leaving what you're fantastic at your day-to-day job, the thing that you've spent all your life doing and becoming, and you're brilliant at it, and then switching to become something else. And the most typical version that I see of this happening within a corporate environment or within life is when somebody leaves from being an expert to being a people manager. Hey, Chris, Bob, Sarah, Karen, you're great at this. We now want you to stop doing what your passion is and what you're good at, and we want you to manage everybody else that does that for their passion. This can be a horrendous mistake to make, but also it can be something good if you have an interest in people management. But there are a lot of technical people I know and I've seen out there in the world that really shouldn't be managing people. And within a corporate environment, it's very hard to go back once you go forward. The third and final topic I want to discuss on what they don't tell you when you're getting promoted is the poisoned chalice. Now, this isn't necessarily true for every job promotion and every role out there within the corporate world, but there are certain projects, certain teams, and certain roles out there that are doomed to fail. There are roles I can think of within my career that I've seen people move into, and I've been like, I wouldn't want to do that job. And lo and behold, 6 months or a year later, that person is either left the organization or moved on to another role because the project they moved into was doomed to fail. 2 or 3 other managers or 2 or 3 other subject matter experts had already been in and out through the door because of the team or the environment or the challenging job topic that they were working on. So yes, you might feel like you are the person who can do that project or run that team, but always ask yourself, especially if you're starting to get into the big, high double digits or getting into the 6-figure roles, do you really want to be taking on the poison chalice role? Do you want to be running that department or that area that the last 3 or 4 area managers haven't lasted more than 8 months or 12 months or 16 months? Do you really want to go the same way as those other people? Is that the role that they're giving to people to move them out of the organization? Why is that role so difficult? These are questions that you should ask yourself, especially if you notice that that previous role has been a bit of a poison chalice for the few people that have worked it. To sum up, we've got the Peter Principle about understanding your skill set and understanding the next levels above you and whether you have the skills. That leans into the subject matter expert mistake. It means changing your day job, basically going from working on something that you're an expert on, something that you have passion on, and then managing other people or doing a different job completely to what your subject matter expertise is in. Are you going to be happy about no longer being hands-on in that subject? A lot of people aren't. And the final one is the poisoned chalice. Are you taking on a role that is doomed to fail and other people have failed before you? Maybe it'd be wise to turn that role down rather than jumping into it. Hey, you might be getting an extra 5, 10, 15, 20% extra pay, but are those headaches actually worth it? Or should you hold out for a slightly better role? Let me know what you think about these 3 areas that they don't discuss with you before you get promoted. Have you seen any of them before within your career? Or are you possibly about to get promoted and one or all 3 of these could possibly come up within the next couple of months? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your experiences when you've been promoted or your experiences within your corporate climb. Thanks very much for watching all the way through to this part of my video. I really do appreciate it. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hopefully we'll see you in the next one. Make it a good one.